Hi, I'm Matt Worst, and you've clicked to play yet another episode of the 4Ps. This is episode 125, and I am fresh inside from manning our backyard fire pit, which really serves multiple purposes at our home. We're extending the outdoor time we can enjoy before the winter cold forces us back in. I am teaching our kids about the dangers of fire as well as safety. And I am slowly getting rid of the 2,000 pounds of firewood that the tree guys left when they had to take down a 100-foot elm tree in our backyard. So I say, let it burn. The 4Ps. Professional. Political. Practical. Personal. Here we are at the end of September, and we are right in the middle of yet another advertising week, and yet another fully virtual event. Honestly, it just doesn't have the same buzz or the level of excitement that they've had in the past. Big events in marketing and the advertising industries, whether it's Advertising Week or South by Southwest, the CES, Cannes Lions. Many people look forward to these events to learn and share knowledge, but just as many, if not more, are there for the networking and the personal or even professional connections, and that's a real benefit and priority. So who knows when we will truly be together again, or how, or even where. But these are the weeks, or days, we're now 204 days since I closed my office for COVID. But these are the days where the FOMO and the lack of being together in real life, it feels real. And honestly, a whole lot of sad. For something personal, I am starting this week off with some positivity. Congratulations are in order, to me, for my fantasy baseball championship. It was a pretty dominant performance despite a shortened baseball season. And I am proud of the effort that my co-owner and I put in this year. As the real baseball playoffs get underway and we get deeper into October, there will be some who will put an asterisk next to this year's World Series champion. But for fantasy, no one can really question it because there is no asterisk when it comes to spending your championship money and winnings. Speaking of my co-owner, he had an even more monumental week than the rest of us, and that's because my friend Adam did something extraordinary. Several years ago, another one of our very good friends, his son was born with significant kidney issues and required years of surgery and medication and just discomfort. But earlier this summer, our friend's son, after going into kidney failure, realized that in requiring a transplant, set forth on a search to find the perfect match. Of all the people who could have been a match, Adam was the perfect candidate. And just last week, successfully gave one of his kidneys to young Dylan, who at age 6 will now lead a much more normal and healthy life. It's honestly... It's one of the most remarkable things a human can do for another, but the fact that Adam and Dylan's families are now connected by blood it's nothing short of a miracle. The surgery was a success. Both are on the road to recovery. And as for Adam's incredible week, and I don't know whether our fantasy baseball championship or his kidney donation ranks as more memorable, well, you'll have to ask him. Amazingly enough, I still have not yet watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, but I'm not really sure I need to at this point because I understand how these platforms' algorithms work, and I'll let you in on some of those secrets. Here's the thing. Every social media platform has its own complex set of algorithms that determine what content we see. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, they are now marketing platforms, make no mistake. And many of the best marketers on social platforms nowadays we can learn from. Influencers, right? Rob Pierre, who is the CEO of global media agency network Jellyfish, likes to talk about output and outcomes. Well, marketers traditionally have focused on the reach of their campaigns' outputs, but influencers are focused on the growth of their program's outcomes. Influencers want to learn how and why their videos are discovered by more people. About 4 years ago, Instagram moved away from the chronological or the most recent posts stream So the factors now that go into their signals are relevance, which is why micro and mid-tier influencers, they just do so well here, as well as recency or frequency, and resonance. And resonance is defined by engagement levels. So YouTube says that its goals for search and discovery are twofold. One, to help viewers find the videos they want to watch, and to maximize the long-term viewer engagement and satisfaction. So YouTube influencers need to start by creating great content on discoverable topics. Remember, YouTube is Google, and Google is search. But getting your YouTube video content discovered is really only half the battle. Creators and marketers also need to build long watch time sessions for their content by organizing and featuring content on their channel, including, and this is very important, using series playlists. And last, and that's all we're going to talk about because time is running out, in TikTok's For You feed, you're presented with a stream of videos curated to your interests, making it really easy to find content and creators that you love. This feed is powered by a recommendation system that delivers content to each user that's likely to be of interest to that particular user. The key factors for the TikTok algorithm include user interactions, such as the videos you like or share, accounts you follow, comments you post on the videos you watch, and content that you create. It also includes video info, which might include details like captions and sound and hashtags. And then there are the device-specific factors to make sure that the system is optimized for performance, but they receive lower weight in the recommendation system compared to the other data that I just talked about. So, Twitter and Facebook we'll talk about another time, but these algorithms are super important. Understanding how influencers you're using them will actually make all of us better and smarter marketers. And something political. The first presidential debate between Trump and Biden is in a few hours, though you may be watching this or listening to it after it's taken place. So I'll just say this. No matter what happens, this has already been a more eventful election season than just about any that I can remember, for sure. In some ways, it doesn't feel like this election is just in 5 weeks, whereas these last 4 years have also seemed like an eternity. Time is just a construct at this point, right? The latest pre-October surprise is the New York Times report that Trump hasn't paid taxes, more or less, in years, which, if you think about it, really isn't a surprise. Why do you think he's been so reluctant to share his tax returns? But I don't think that this in any way hurts him with the GOP base. Whether it hurts him with independent voters, I don't know. But those GOP stalwarts remain steadfastly supportive, no matter what crimes he commits. Let's be real. There was also the nomination of Supreme Court Justice nominee Amy Barrett. And before Justice Ginsburg was even laid to rest, Trump was introducing this as a candidate. And Barrett's confirmation, though, it's really all but assured at this point, which is sad because Ruth Bader Ginsburg will be replaced by a woman, as many have said online and on Twitter, who walked through every door that Ginsburg opened for her so that she can promptly use her position to shut them for women who come after her. When, not if, the Senate confirms President Trump's nominee to succeed Justice Ginsburg, the Supreme Court will become more conservative than it's been in years and then ready to tackle hot-button issues like abortion and guns. What's more, there's a decent chance that the election is going to be decided by the Supreme Court again. So, with that strong 6-3 conservative majority in place, the future of justice, the future of our rights, the future of our country is bleak, despite a majority of voters wanting the presidential election winner to actually pick the next Supreme Court justice. According to job and candidate search tool Indeed, the fourth quarter of every year is the time where more people think about changing their jobs than at any other time throughout the year. So my practical tip of the week is don't. 85% of workers around the world are unhappy in their job. That's not new. But when you're not achieving your ambitions, I get it. It's easy to feel unhappy in your work life. What's more, focusing on where you're headed is a big distraction because it stops you from making meaningful changes to the job you currently have. When it comes to our careers, so many of us are on this hedonistic treadmill. That's when the pleasure of getting what you want leads to repeat the same behavior over and over again. People now are staying at jobs for a shorter period of time than they ever have before. So instead, the ability to accept that your job is, good enough for now, uses one of the most effective tools in the designer's toolkit. And by designer, I mean the job holder, you. Let's reframe the way we're thinking about this. By restructuring your point of view, you notice what's good about the current role by focusing on what works well and the tasks you enjoy, right? If you look at a Venn diagram with like 3 circles, this is a job seeker's tool. The first would be money. The second is impact, which, right, it describes your social contribution. And then the third is expression, which really means creativity. When we're looking for a job, we're trying to find the right balance, the right mix for us. Some people intuitively know what that mix should be, and for the rest of us, it's a case of trial and error to find out what motivates you. And motivation in life is intrinsic. It should not be extrinsic. Now, add to this, right, firing up your intrinsic motivation, the need to work on your career arc. Now, that's ARC, A-R-C, autonomy, relatedness, and competence. And yes, I stole this from a book that I had read a couple years ago, Designing Your Work Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. I have the book on my shelf. Autonomy is the freedom to design your own life. And it's a fundamental psychological need. Whatever your job is, you want the freedom to control what you do and when and how you do it. Relatedness, in other words, is the connections that you make in this job and what that can mean for you. That could be inside or outside the organization. And it's a strange thing to be thinking about that as far as your role right now, because we are all, or a lot of us are stuck where we are physically. So my advice is to first try and make things better within your current role before you look externally, because the devil you know is often better than the devil you don't.